Hey, it's me, Maggie J. Today with another recap of The Courtship. We're up to episode 10 and 11, so I assume you know the deal by now. I won't bore you with the details we're all very familiar with. Let's talk about what happened in episode 10. The Daily Tea tells us there will be a pleasure garden celebration tonight, complete with fire breathing and tea leaf reading. Sounds very exciting indeed. Over in the suitor's hut, Chapman asks who spilled the beans about him being non-committal, and I'm surprised that Nazaire admits it was him. I didn't think he was the type to own up to their own backstabbing actions. I thought Chapman was going to blame Bocciccio or Cones for this, so I'm glad Nazaire spoke up. But how dare Chapman try to give Nazaire a guilt trip about telling Nicole about Chapman's cold feet, saying they shouldn't be playing like that, trying to get others sent home. But you're the only one here who has had sex with the lady and still can't say he'll even want to date her at the end of this. He tells all the guys he's only feeling lust for her. He's not sure if it will turn into love, but he knows it's much more serious for her. He knows Nicole is here looking for a husband and likely wants him to be the one. Why shouldn't the other guys let her know he's leading her on? I am so fed up with this fucking guy. I don't even want to talk about him anymore. Spoiler alert, I have to talk about him a whole lot more. At least the court is a bit more vocal in this episode. I don't know if they're helpful, but they get a bit more screen time, and I like that. Their job is to hang out with one of the suitors during the pleasure garden and see how they feel about dating and possibly blending their family with a black family. Of course, everyone says they would not have any issues and their family would be welcoming of anyone they choose to love. The guys all do their best to win over the members of the court, and most of them are successful. It's not really that eventful of an event. A lot of conversation takes place. There's a carousel. Okay, so I'll admit I'm skeptical about a lot of things, so I'm not sure if the tea leaf lady is legit or if she had some show notes because the reading she gives the guys is kind of spot on. She tells Judge he is ready for marriage, like right now. She tells Nazaire he is finally ready to be in a relationship again. Bocciccio is told to forget about the past, open his heart, and trust someone, which must mean a lot to him because he thinks it is crazy that she knew that. It's weird how vague, positive, and encouraging phrases can really make someone think you're looking right into their soul. Mr. Chapman's leaves say there's only a half of a heart, and if they were to go away, him and Nicole were to go away and be together, there would be a lot to build and grow, which Nicole thinks is a positive. But in Chapman's confession, he says there's probably only a half a heart because she's falling in love with him and he's not falling in love with her. I don't blame this tea lady here. She is trying to be positive so that the main character doesn't run away crying. Nicole just hasn't seen this guy in his Dodge Caravan yet. Her feelings will sort themselves right out after a few hours of riding around in this guy's van. Cones is the last to sit down for tea, and even his leaves do not hold much hope for a romance between him and Nicole. The tea leaf lady straight up tells them, you two are bad on paper. But he could really make her laugh, and laughter is the key to love, so they could have the greatest relationship of all. Which is true. Most women will tell you they want someone who makes them laugh, but at this point, I don't want Cones to wind up with her. He is too good of a partner to be with someone who can't see past a set of blue eyes and crusty curls. Anyway, Mr. Nazaire gets real drunk and dances with everyone. He's got a cane and a glass of champagne, and it is adorable. Like a drunk Mr. Peanut. He tries to cut in on a dance between Nicole and Bocciccio and gets told to fuck off. And then Dom has to leave to catch a flight back to the real world because his wife is like 38 weeks pregnant, so I hope all is going well for their family. The next day, the remainder of the court discuss what they learned from the suitors the night before and decide to send Nicole on a solo date with Mr. Judge. They ride in a carriage and pick apples and such. It's really cute, and they do make a nice couple. She mentions she doesn't think he's got enough of an edge to him, which I think means he might be too much of a whatever you want, honey, kind of a guy, which is fine when deciding what's for dinner, but not for how many kids we should have, or should we move across the country and open a donut shop. You gotta be a man with a plan, Judge. Where are you going in life without a woman guiding you? Later, Cones, Chapman, and Bocciccio are having a little chat, imagining their future with Nicole. Bocciccio has really come around to the idea of making a long-term commitment to Nicole. Cones has always been ready to jump right in, so it's just Chapman, still, again, dragging his feet. He tells him he doesn't know if he could ever live with someone else. Like, if he had a girlfriend, she might be able to stay over in the van for a night or two, but then she'd have to git because he just wants to be left alone. Suddenly, Cones sounds a lot like me in his confessional, calling out Chapman for wasting Nicole's and subsequently all the other suitors' time. And he calls out Nicole for missing out on opportunities by spending so much of her time with Chapman's wishy-washy self. I thought he was going to talk to her, but it's time for the farewell ball. She chooses Nazaire and Judge and winds up sending Nazaire home. Plenty of people online have thought he was not a true contender here, just someone to keep things spicy, and I completely agree. He would likely be a good partner, and he seems to be ready to have something serious to focus on, but his best match is probably somebody who lives in London. So best of luck to Mr. Nazaire with his modeling career, his acting career, his socialite career, whatever it is that he's up to. I am sure he's going to land on his feet. After the farewell dance, Chapman makes another trip to Nicole's room, and they spend the night together again. If this doesn't make all the other suitors leave, they're stupid. On to episode 11. So this was an interesting episode, full of plenty of solo time, very important conversations, an anonymous note, and finally, a reckoning. I'll try not to spoil it early, but this might be my favorite episode. First things first, Nicole meets with the court and she is so bubbly and happy. I bet they can tell she spent the night with Chapman again. Over at the Suitors Lodge, he tells them he's had another overnight. I like how everyone just falls into calling this an overnight. Like, is this a Bachelor show term? Anyway, the other boys are not happy to find out about this, and it's about damn time anybody was getting upset around here. Bocciccio says he's going to need some kind of reassurance for her, especially after another overnight with Chapman. Judge and Cones are just confused. People keep saying they want one thing, but showing them that they aren't even trying. During his confessional, Mr. Judge has his arms crossed, so I know he's serious. Then the daily tea is delivered, and they find out that today is a prep day for some fancy dinner we're supposed to believe these prim and proper people are preparing for themselves. Okay, so the Daily Tea says they will be having this meal tonight, but I know for certain they all go to bed tonight without having a big fancy dinner, and they eat this meal the following afternoon, just in case you weren't aware of all the meddling production tries to get away with. Anyway, each of the suitors has a task to complete. Lead some ducks to the slaughter, steal honey from a beehive, bathe in the milk of a goat, and ransack a chicken coop. And Nicole will accompany each of them. Then the guys have to take the ingredient to a member of the court for some more talking about their future intentions. Mr. Edwards calls this chore play and makes all the ladies blush. Miss Remy is so quick with the one-liners. I really enjoy this woman's presence. I like seeing Nicole with everyone one-on-one, but not all of the dates went well. Judge is up first, and they have to herd some ducks into a pen. They have a lot of fun together, and later on, he and Mr. Remy set up a table for the dinner. Nicole and Chapman have to gather some honey from an actual beehive. I didn't think they'd pull it off between Nicole screaming and him scraping these bees off the combs like he's wiping the crumbs off of the seats of his Astro van. Show some respect, sir. Then he goes to sit with Mrs. Remy and tells her all about himself. About the van, about being a nomad, about how rough it can be, and how committed he is to maintaining that lifestyle. I think she thought he was being euphemistic when he kept saying, I live in a van, but no, he is a hobo living in a full-on soccer mom van, and she is not having it. In her confession, she says, that's not going to work out, and Mr. Remy agrees. Finally! Now it's time for Mr. Cones to milk a goat. After he catches it, of course, then puts it in this milking harness and figures out if it's even got udders from whence milk should squirt. These two laugh the entire time during this. At one point, the goat kicks the bucket of milk and it spills all over Nicole. Given how much fun she's having with him, how much fun they always have together, she wonders why their relationship hasn't gone any further. And I would like to inform her, it's because he is a gentleman who protects his own heart. I feel like he is not one who's going to step on anyone's toes or demand that somebody else pay attention to him. He knows what he's bringing to the table, and if you're not into it, he's not going to dish it out to you. Nicole hasn't been acting interested. She keeps spending all of her time with Chapman, and Cones isn't going to interfere. That's how you've wound up here. Oh, that rhymed. Eventually, they fill the bucket enough again so he can take it to Tessa and talk to her about how he feels about Nicole. It feels like these two have a really nice, friendly relationship already built. I imagine they've spent a lot of downtime during the events and such, just chatting. I always see these two and Mr. Mumbrae when he was here talking in the backgrounds and such. I don't feel like it's romantic. Cones is very focused on Nicole through all this, but I imagine Mr. Cones also makes friends really easily, being that he's so personable. Tessa tells him to show Nicole his romantic side, and he agrees he needs to, but adds she also needs to be open to the romance. Touche, Mr. Cones. Don't let these chicks make it seem like this is all your fault. Then it is time for her and Boccaccio to gather eggs, and he is very bothered by the state of affairs. She asks him to open up about what he's thinking, and it leads to a very charged conversation about how upset he is about what she's doing, aka spending all of her time with Chapman. She says that she would give him the world if he would just open up to her, but he was attempting to do that, and she fucked Chapman. So he tried to act like that didn't bother him, and he's been looking for his in. But she chooses other men to go on dates with, and then fucks Chapman again. When is he supposed to open up to you, Nicole? Given that he was so hesitant at first, I understand why she keeps asking him to prove himself, which is the difference between him and Chapman. If he was as much of a fuckboy as Chapman, he would have been lying to her the whole time as well, saying he was falling for her, or he could see a future when he really couldn't. But this guy was honest, and now it's come back to bite him. I can tell he now has genuine feelings, but is getting humiliated on TV and feels foolish. The rest of their discussion does not go well. He tells her he really likes her, and she counters with, "You like me? We're at the Final Four." As if that's not good enough for her. But the last person to confess his love for her was Mr. Holland many episodes ago. This seems like a very high bar in comparison to what Chapman has been doing and getting. She continues that she's in love with him. She has been for a while, and even I am confused. I hate to keep saying this, but last night, she storms away from the date, and in her confessional, she says basically he's asking too much of her. She signed up to date multiple men for a short period of time, which is true. He shouldn't be expecting exclusivity. But if I was told the point of this particular show I was hired onto was to act like a proper gentleman from the Regency era to impress a woman who was looking for a husband, I'd be pretty annoyed that she wasn't acting Regency at all and keeps sleeping with this one guy who I know can't wait to get out of here so he can get back to his van and resume being homeless, and keeps demanding that I profess my unending love for her before she will take me on another date. I'd be mad as fuck. I know I said I hate this guy, and I still mostly do, but I understand this frustration. Boccaccio then goes to see Miss Baker, and I admire how respectfully he tried to keep this conversation without coming right out and saying, "She keeps fucking Chapman, and I can't stand it." Miss Baker gets right to the heart of why he isn't his usual smiling self, and is surprised to learn that some people aren't interested in even being in a relationship with her sister. He doesn't say any names or specify who he's talking about, but I think Miss Baker should know by now, and that's the end of the day. Boccaccio goes to bed early, leaving Cones, Chapman, and Judge to have a discussion before they all turn in. I don't know if it's the drinks or if this is a self-sabotage, but Chapman tells the other two he is not in love with Nicole. If it were going to happen, it would have by now, and she's just another fling for him. Both Cones and Judge are stunned. Then Chapman goes to bed. Here is where the real humanity of Mr. Cones comes through, and I watched this a few times so I could really appreciate what happened here. So Chapman goes to bed, Judge and Cones are left to sort through the bombshell he dropped on them, and Cones says, once you become aware of something, you become responsible for the effects that it has on the people around you. Meaning, he knows this information is going to break Nicole's heart, and not letting her know makes him complacent in the heartbreak. If not for the show, I'm sure he would have marched on over to the castle and let her know immediately what he knows. But to make it dramatic, he's going to write a letter, an anonymous letter, to let Nicole know Mr. Chapman thinks of what they have as a fling and could never fall in love with her. I assume he passed this on to his staff for delivery later. Meanwhile, Mr. and Mrs. Remy tell Nicole of their reservations about Mr. Chapman. Her mother says he is very committed to the van life, and her father says he wouldn't approve of him. Nicole says, again, she'd never marry anyone her parents didn't approve of, so this is yet another reason she needs to reassess her priorities. But now, it's time for the feast! This is supposed to be an outside affair, but this UK weather is dumping buckets on them whenever it feels like, so they have moved the party inside. Everyone sits down to dinner, and Miss Baker takes charge of the conversation. She's asking pointed questions about what the parlor chat has been like, and if anyone regrets coming here to be a part of this. It seems like she's mining for information or revelations, and Tessa joins in. It's getting uncomfortable with their questioning, but then a letter is delivered. Nicole reads the note at the table, but then rushes away crying. Miss Baker again takes charge, sending the parents for a walk. She believes there is a boundary between parents and their children and their significant others, so they don't need to see this, but I don't subscribe to that way of thinking, so I do not like this. Nicole comes back to the table to read the letter out loud and point blank asks Chapman, "Is this true?" I would not word it like that, but yes, he says. These are your exact words! He asks to speak to her alone, but that does neither of them any good. She tells him he needs to leave and doesn't even give him a hug on his way out. Way to go, Nicole. Finally getting rid of this dead weight. I think that they messed up by having Miss Baker be so aggressive towards the suitors during the meal. We know that she's got some inside info about someone being insincere, but we also know there's an anonymous letter that's been sent that says the same thing. So the aggressive questioning and dramatic music playing through the whole dinner feels like it's too much. Perhaps Miss Baker shouldn't have unleashed those questions just yet. Perhaps they should have delivered the letter before the meal, so there was even more reason for this aggression, but whatever, it's all over now. There is a farewell ball. Nicole dances with all three remaining suitors, Mr. Cones, Mr. Judge, and Mr. Bocciccio. Mr. Cones tells her he wrote the letter and is happy he was able to help her understand that Chapman wasn't genuine, even if that is why he is being sent home tonight. But nobody is sent home tonight. They already got rid of the worst guy ever. I rushed the ending so I could talk about a few things. I may have been being a little too hard on Nicole over these last couple of episodes. Somewhere, someone commented that Nicole could have lived a very sheltered life, spending a lot of time in school and under her parents' eye and such, but until this episode, I wasn't seeing it like that. At the beginning of this one, Nicole says she thinks she could be the one to change Chapman, make him want to quit the van life and such. And then after he leaves, she talks as if no one has ever led her on like this before. You know, just hooking up until they roll out of town in their Dodge Caravan. At the age of 26, going through college, being a cheerleader, working in tech, I'd assumed she knew the signs of a fuckboy. But she has said she's only had her heart broken once, and if she has been sheltered, perhaps she is unaware, and maybe I've been judging her too harshly. Also, she says she wishes she had a day or two to sit with herself and her feelings and really process what is happening, but this is a reality show. It is always go time, so perhaps being emotionally overwhelmed and exhausted and still having to trudge on and make decisions could lead someone to make not great decisions several times in a row. So, perhaps I have been being too harsh on her. Perhaps I'm just really excited that she got rid of Chapman and now I can judge her fairly again. Whatever. Now Chapman is gone and Nicole can get serious about evaluating the suitors who remain. However, only one episode is left if Mr. Edwards is to be believed. I'm not sure who I want to be the winner here. I think she and Judge have had the most dates and have had a ton of fun together. And he is so ready to be someone's husband. But I think he could be anyone's husband and be just as happy about it. So Bokichio and her have had a spark since the very beginning. She says that she is in love with him. He just needs to open up. I think that they would be fine together. I just don't care for him, so I have no nice words. Cones is my favorite. He has been since the beginning, but after all that has happened, she never took him on a solo date. They have only had one serious kiss. She said that there is no romantic link here. Despite that they laugh so much together, she has kept him 3 spots above the bottom for the entire show, and that just doesn't scream big winner to me. Cones deserves a partner who knows that he is the grand prize. But who do you think should be the big winner here? Tell me who you think Nicole should pick, or who do you think she should be stuck with here at the end? That is all that I have to say for now. I know it's been a long one, and I appreciate you for watching. Please consider liking and or subscribing so you don't miss my next video. It's gonna be about the finale. Until next time, y'all stay safe out there.